Dear students, welcome to lecture 2 of week 8, wherein we have been exploring payment systems in international trade. Today, we are going to focus on an important topic, that is documentary collection of export bills. Let us begin the journey. First of all, we will have an overview of what all we are going to discuss in today's lecture. We will start with the introduction and concept, followed by key parties and documents. After that, we will try to understand the types of documentary collections, followed by process flow and banking role. After that, we will try to explore the advantages and limitations as well as risk mitigation and compliance. Subsequently, we will try to understand the regulatory framework under URC 522 as well as the bank responsibilities under URC 522. Today, we will also take a brief case illustration to understand the relevance and application part, and then we will conclude our discussion. At the beginning, it is important for us to understand the relevance of documentary collection and what presence it holds in international trade. Documentary collection is a bank mediated payment mechanism used in international trade. The mediation of the bank is an important characteristic of this international payment, wherein the whole mechanism depends on important and integral role played by bank as an important stakeholder. Thus, banks in such circumstances acts as an intermediary between exporter and importer to facilitate the trade and ends with realization of payment. The exporter, as we know, ship goods and forwards shipping documents through banks for payment or acceptance. Similarly, there are certain important attributes which banks are linked with that facilitate the trade under such circumstances. Unlike the letter of credit, banks in certain situations and particularly in this case act as intermediaries without guaranteeing payment. Thus, banks are acting as facilitating bodies without any responsibility wherein they take guarantee of the payment on behalf of importer. In addition to this, such kind of bank intermediary facilitated mechanism provides a cost-effective and reliable alternative when there is moderate trust between exporter and importer, that is buyer and seller. Let us now try to dig deep into the concept and meaning. The concept and meaning is defined by International Chamber of Commerce under the Uniform Rules for Collection, that is URC 522. In today's lecture, we will be repeatedly talking about URC, so it is recommended to note down that URC stands for Universal Uniform Rules for Collections. The URC involves collection of payment through banks based on documents, not physical goods. This means that the facilitation of the payment does not involve any physical examination of goods, rather it deals with examination of the documents. Examination of the documents is an important process because it involves validation as well as verification of the documents that are in place. Dear students, remember that banks have to do extra labor in order to verify and understand as well as find out legal compliance of these documents. Under this, that is URC 522, exporter entrusts documents to the banks with instructions to release them to the importer. These releases can be under two circumstances. One is against payment, which is in short known as DP. Therefore, I recommend to note down DP is against payment because here it is P which stands for payment. Similarly, the other mode is DA, which stands for against acceptance, where A stands for acceptance. The following of URC The following of URC ensures control over goods until importer fulfills the payment terms. The payment terms, which are already decided in exports contracts, should be met according to the obligations. Let us now try to identify the key parties that are involved in URC. The first is drawer or exporter. Their responsibility is to ship goods and issue bill of exchange. The second is drawee or importer. It is the buyer and the buyer is required to pay or accept the bill. The third is the intermediary, that is the remitting bank. Exporters, this is the exporters bank that sends documents abroad. The fourth is collecting or presenting bank. It is the importers bank handling delivery as well as collection. And finally, accepting banks in cases of acceptance where there may be guarantee of payment upon acceptance. All these parties together form the URC and they are regulated as per the URC. What are the different documents that are used in collections in international payment system? The documents can be divided into two types. One is the financial documents and another is the commercial documents. Financial documents includes bill of exchange or draft, whether they can be inside or issuance. The another one, commercial documents, includes invoice, packing list, certificate of origin, that is COO, bill of lading, that is BL, insurance certificate or insurance or inspection certificate. These documents collectively represent control over goods and evidence of shipment. As evidence of shipment is very much important for the delivery of goods as well as for indicating that goods are in transit, these documents indicate that goods are properly being transited as per the export contract. Banks handle only the documents, remember, not the goods themselves. Thus, banks are the bodies under these payments mechanisms. They are not responsible for goods, means their quality, their quantity, their valuation. Rather, they are concerned with the documents only. Let us now try to understand the types of documentary collections. There are two types of documentary collections. One is documents against payment and documents against acceptance, that is DP, payments, DA, acceptance. If we talk about documents against payment, in this the importer receives documents only after immediate payment. Also, it is used when exporter sees security but trust importer's solvency. The importer's solvency refers to a good financial position of the importer, wherein it indicates that the importer will be able to meet out the obligations, that is, the payment obligations. When we talk about the documents against acceptance, these are the documents released upon importer's acceptance of a time draft. Thus, importer's acceptance is an important point in documents against acceptance. Documents against acceptance also include payments deferred until maturity of the bill. Means if the bill is maturing after 1 month, the payment will be deferred for those 30 days. These, that is, documents against acceptance are used where long-term business relationship exists. It indicates a trust between the buyer and seller. Generally, it happens in the cases when exports and imports have been going on for a long period of time. This means that there is a buyer-seller relationship which pre-exists these documentations. Let us now try to discuss the comparison between DP, that is against payment, and DA, that is against acceptance comparison. With respect to aspect, if we talk about the payment timing under DP, that is site collection, on the presentation the payment is made. On the other hand, when it comes to DA, that is against acceptance, it is generally at the maturity time. With respect to risk to exporter, the risk is low to exporter under the payment mechanism, while the risk is higher under the acceptance mechanism. With respect to buyer relationship, under DP, it is moderate trust, while on the other hand, under DA, it is strong trust. When we talk about from the point of view of the control over goods, under DP, the control is retained till payment is made. On the other hand, in DA, the control is only till the acceptance is released. Finally, with respect to the common use parameter, under DP, it is considered to be a short-term trade, while under DA, it is considered having a relationship with deferred credit arrangement, that is, delayed credit arrangements. Let us now go through the step-by-step process flow. The first step is where exporter ships goods and prepares required documents. This is the first and initial steps wherein care should be taken, because when documents are prepared, they should be error-free and they should disclose all the necessary information that is required for completing the legality of the document. The second step is that it draws a bill of exchange and submits it with documents to remitted bank. This drawing of bill of exchange is another important step, and it should be done in a timely manner. Also, while submitting the documents to the remitting bank, the proper annexation of relevant evidences should be checked upon. Otherwise, due to errors, the bank may not process the bill of exchange and other such documents. The third step is remitting bank forwards documents to collecting bank abroad. Now, in this state, the relationship between the home bank and the foreign bank starts to emerge, because the remitting bank is forwarding the documents to the collecting bank. This should also be done in a timely manner so that the whole cycle of payment realization is completed within the specified time. The fourth step is wherein collecting bank presents documents to importer for payment or acceptance. This is another important stage where the process flow has started to reach in the middle of the transaction. The next step is on payments or acceptance, whatever has been done, documents are released to importer. This is where the importer receives the document and can go through them in detail after the due process what has been done with the documents. Then the next step is funds are remitted to exporter through banking channels. Whatever funds are required as part of payment realization are remitted to the exporter through the banks that are participating in the process. And finally, exporter receives payment confirmation and proceeds to submit the realization certificate. This is the last stage in the process flow. We can see through all these steps that how step by step facilitation of export happens under these particular processes. Let us now try to appreciate the role of banks in documentary collection. Banks act as neutral intermediaries for secure document exchange. That is, banks are not considered to be party from any side. Rather, their role is to facilitate trade by acting as an intermediary. The second point is banks ensure compliance with exporters' collection instructions. The banks always comply with the exporters' collections instructions, and if there is any problem, the banks take the exporter into confidence and tries to solve the problem. The third role is that bank verify the formal completeness of documents, not their content, but that the document's legality is acceptable. Any errors or problems are identified by the banks, and with the confidence of the exporter and the relevant parties, the documents, if required, the corrections are made. The next role is the banks forward funds or accepted drafts promptly to exporters' banks. This also includes minimizing the transaction time as well as giving the opportunity to the exporter to realize the payment at the earliest. Early realization of payment is very important for the exporter because this helps to balance the working capital management of the exporter. And finally, banks maintain record and reporting for foreign exchange compliance. If we talk about India, the foreign exchange compliance needs to be within the Foreign Exchange Management Act of 1999 and different Reserve Bank of India norms. Thus, in order to avoid any financial irregularities, compliance with the rules of FEMA and RBI are compulsory and should be done vigilantly. Dear students, let us now try to identify and discuss the advantages of these documentary collections for exporters. These documentary collections are less costly compared to letters of credit because there is no confirmation or issuance fees. The second advantage is that it retains control of documents until payment or acceptance, thus having good custody of the documents. The third advantage is it provides legal and procedural structure for secure trade settlement. Dear students, always remember that a secure trade settlement improves trust between the parties, as well as increase the confidence of stakeholders in foreign trade. Thus, it becomes a very important advantage to overall promote export and import. The next advantage is that it is suitable for established trading partners where full bank guarantee is not essential. And finally, these documentary collections supports liquidity through post-shipment finance against collection of bills. Let us now try to identify that what are the advantages to the other party, that is importers. Use of these documents avoids complex and expensive letter of credit procedures. We had already discussed in the previous lecture that the cost of letter of credit is high. Thus, if the exporter and importer want to explore the low cost alternative, then these documentary collections can help a lot. Another advantage for importer is that payments made only after receiving shipping and title documents ensures the authenticity and proper completion of trade. The flexible terms under the acceptance allow deferred payment and better cash flow. With better cash flow, exporters are able to properly manage the working capital requirement for their own company and business. In addition to this, it offers transactional transparency via banking channel. The transparency increases trust and authenticity of the system, thus benefiting and facilitating better trade. And finally, the use of such documentary collections enhances trust based trade continuity with exporters. Let us now try to understand the limitations and risk. For exporters, there are three major limitations. The first is no bank guarantee for payment. The exporters are always seeking security and minimization of risk, which means some kind of guarantee is required for them. However, if they use these means, then there is no bank guarantee for payment. Thus, at times, the exporters become skeptical of these documentary collections and may switch over to letter of credit arrangement. The second limitation is that buyer may refuse to pay or accept documents. This is a kind of default situation from the buyer's perspective, and this may create distrust between exporter and importer. The third limitation is the delay in realization or risk of political or exchange restrictions. At times, political turmoil happens and which may restrict the trade. This may delay the realization and this may create lots of problem for the parties of the trade. After that, we also have certain limitations and risks for importers. For importers, these documents may not accurately represent the shipment conditions. These documents may miss certain anomalies that may be encountered during the transit of the goods. The second limitation for importers is the possible disputes post shipment with limited recourse through banks. All these limitations and risks highlight that though the documentary collection is a good method, Still, the exporter should evaluate through their own perspective as well as with the application of understanding of business environment that whether this mode will benefit them or not. Thus, exporters may instill some kind of risk mitigation strategies to make this method workable for them even in the times of crisis. The first such mitigation strategy is to use reputable banks with correspondent relationship. These are the banks that have already good experience of dealing with such type of export import complications and thus can provide efficient solutions. The second mitigation strategy is to obtain export credit insurance, for example, the ECGC coverage. The third mitigation strategy is to verify buyer's financial position and trade record. This is very important because by knowing buyer's financial position tells about whether the buyer will default or not. Also, it tells if buyer is already in some kind of financial strain, the possibility of defaulting can be more. The fourth risk mitigation strategy is to include contractual provisions for arbitration and penalties. Obligations such as related to arbitration are very interesting and they should be promoted because always there is a possibility of some kind of disputes arising between the parties. Thus, if arbitration patterns and processes are clear, the disputes can easily be resolved as well as a timely resolution of disputes benefit both the parties as well as facilitates the trade. The fifth mitigation strategy is to prefer the payment terms for new or uncertain buyers. There is no need to experiment with the acceptance term. Instead, for the new exporters, it is recommended that they should use the DP, that is payment terms. Let us now focus on accounting and exchange control procedures. The exporter is expected to record sales under bills for collection. Through this, bank report collection transactions with the help of EDPMS, that is Export Data Processing and Monitoring System. The payment proceeds are to be realized within prescribed RBI timelines, that is not more than 9 months. In exigencies, the time may cross 9 months, but normally the recommended times is below 9 months. Under accounting and exchange control procedures, banks also issues bank realization certificate upon receipt of payment. With the use of digitalization and technology, these bank realization certificate has also an e-form known as e-bank realization certificate. Finally, non-realization requires declaration under FEMA, that is Foreign Exchange Management Act of 1999, and appropriate follow-up with the relevant institutions. Let us now try to compare the benefits accruing between documentary collection and letter of credit. With respect to the parameter bank guarantee, under documentary collection there is no bank guarantee. However, under letter of credit there is full payment guarantee. With respect to cost, under the documentary collection there is low cost. On the other hand, the cost of letter of credit is high. When it comes to risk to exporter, the risk under documentary collection is moderate, while on the other hand, the risk to exporter under letter of credit is minimal. With respect to the parameter of document check, under documentary collection, it is only formal, that is, only formally we have to check the documents. On the other hand, in letter of credit, the documents are checked according to strict compliance. With respect to speed, under documentary collection, the speed is very fast, while on the other hand, in letter of credit, the speed is slow. With respect to its ideal condition, documentary collection is best for trusted buyers, while on the other hand, letter of credit is ideal for high valued importers or new buyers. Let us try to understand the regulatory framework which comes under URC 522. The regulatory framework of documentary collection is governed by Uniform Rules for Collection, that is URC 522, issued by International Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce. The URC 522 defines responsibilities and procedures for remitting and collecting banks. This framework establishes standardized terms such as the payment terms, that is DP, acceptance terms, DA, and side or issuance drafts. These regulatory framework under URC 522 emphasizes that banks act only as agents and not guarantors. And finally, URC 52 under the regulatory framework promotes global consistency and fairness in collection transactions. Let us now try to understand the bank's responsibilities under URC 522. The first responsibility of bank is to follow clear written collection instruments from exporters. The second responsibility pertains to presenting of the documents to importer promptly and accurately. The third responsibility is to notify exporter of payment, acceptance or refusal immediately. The fourth responsibility is to safeguard documents until payment or acceptance is completed. The fifth responsibility of bank under URC 522 is to return unpaid or unaccepted bills as per instruction. And finally, it is the responsibility of bank under URC 522 to maintain confidentiality and compliance with exchange laws. Let us now try to see a case illustration with the help of which we can understand the objective and application of case illustration. We have taken a scenario. An Indian textile exporter ships goods worth United States dollar 80,000 to a UK buyer under DP, that is payment terms. What are the other points in this case scenario? Documents have been sent via the exporter's bank, that is SBI, State Bank of India. So this indicates that exporter's bank is always the home country bank. To buyer's bank, that is Barclays, which is in UK, it means that buyer's bank is always the host or the foreign country bank. Thus, two banks from different countries are interacting under this scenario. The buyer pays upon presentation, documents are released, then funds are remitted to exporters within 5 working days. So timely payment is also there. So what is the outcome under the documents which are being used, such as DP, the payment mechanism? That secure payment have been achieved at lower cost, as well as ensuring that document control is there until payment is realized. Dear students, let us now conclude whatever we have discussed. We have discussed and learned that documentary collection serves as a balanced, cost-efficient way of payment mechanism. We have also appreciated the point that documentary collection ensures bank-handled document exchange without full guaranteed obligations. The choice between DP, that is payment, and DA, that is acceptance, depend on the level of trust, transaction value, and buyer's reliability. We have also understood that these documentary collections are governed by International Chamber of Commerce URC 522, ensuring standardization and global acceptance across markets and countries. Thus, in the end, we can take note that if properly managed, these collections enhance liquidity, control, and compliance for exporters. Dear students, thank you very much for being with me in this session.